Time rushes by the last days. We are the 20th of December already, Sunday. 4 more days to go of our 24 days of random awesomeness. And let's get right into today's bag that I showed you already yesterday. It is compact, a bit on the heavy side, multiple pieces in there. Let's see, what do we have on Sunday? Let's see. 4 more days till Christmas Eve. I think today we don't have toys in here. Or maybe we have toys, but probably toys for grown-ups. Let's see, what do we have? A Peli case. We have a Peli case with some connections here. 12 volt DC or 220 or 110 volts AC input. Let's put this here. What else do we have? Let's see. We have some sort of a harness or a holster. Let's put this right next to the candle where it can catch fire. Then we have a little CO2 cartridge. Things are getting interesting. What else do we have? We have some hose. Some hose with a metal thingy here, a metal adapter. What else? We have a little tiny bike pump. Bike pump probably for this, right? And we have the main unit. The main unit is this contraption here. Now, what is this? I will let you know in a second. Let me just grab the last item out of this bag, which is this thing. And that was it for today's bag. Let's put this away. Now, what is this? Well, in the movies, of course, when you have big shootouts and stuff, you have bullet impacts on walls, on cars, on people everywhere. And there are plenty of ways of doing this. And we are getting asked, of course, to do also more complicated things. Usually, let's say, for example, when you have a wall, we would poke in holes, predefined holes on predefined spots, that we would put a very tiny small pyrotechnic charge in it called a squib. And then we would fill up those holes with plaster and put some new wallpaper on it, whatever, or paint it. And when we push the button, there is a sequencer running, and it will blow up one pyrotechnic charge after the other, and you would get, the effect of having impacts into a wall. Kind of the same thing we do for people. Basically, you have a very tiny, very expensive squib, a little tiny pyrotechnic device that gets mounted onto a steel plate, a little pan with a blood bag in front of it. I can show you this. I have those squibs here. This is a box of those little squibs. These are made in Austria, but you get them also in the US. They compact in a little cardboard tube. And you have these very tiny little things in there. And you see they have a very thin wire. And you have this little pill in the middle, this white thing. And that is basically the squib. That is a very, very tiny amount of very precisely measured quantity of a primary explosive. That can be dangerous enough to rip off your finger. So it is quite a very dangerous thing when you don't know what you're doing. So that's why I will put this back right away, back into its little box. So you would take these things, you would put them on a steel pan, and you would use a blood bag. We are making our own. This is basically a simple bag of film blood inside of a plastic bag. And this would be glued inside of the clothing. For example, I would glue this underneath my leather jacket. And these little things are, they are powerful enough to penetrate through this leather. It would rip it open and the blood will spritz out. It looks very realistic, a very cool effect, a very dangerous effect as well, of course. So that is why in certain circumstances, it is not possible to use those squibs because it is a pyrotechnic device. Imagining you would have a head impact, for example, you get a bullet through your head in the movie. There are ways of doing this with squibs, of course. It's a lot of work to get special effects makeup and all this stuff done to, you know, avoid the camera from seeing the squib. So you need prosthetics that have to be made. And when you need a cheap, quick effect, for example, also when you're shooting with children, what we did a couple of times, and they need to be shot in the arm, for example, in the movies, of course. A squib would cause children, of course, to get scared. So what we use is this little device, and this is what we call an Airsquib. This is kind of the same thing, but this works with compressed air or CO2, so no pyrotechnics involved, and it does quite the same thing. Now, what is this? Well, you have a little reservoir to get to store the gas or air, compressed air. You have a little solenoid valve, a fill valve, and this is a very special quick release valve that releases the gas all of a sudden. And you have a little thing here, I forgot the name, but this is just so it can move freely. Of course, usually the actors, they have to move before they have to run or something, so this needs to be pretty flexible in things of movement. And then you would have this thing and a tube. This is a special silicone tube, by the way. This fits in here, so you have a quick connection. And then you have this hose, and that would run over the body where you need the impact to be, and we cut it on the size. And then you have this thing. We nowadays print them in 3D. This is an older thing you see with the padding that would, for example, fit onto a child's arm or something. You have a little nozzle here, and this hose connects to it. And when you press the button, well, of course, you fill some blood into this hose. When you press the button, the blood will spritz out there. Of course, this would not be powerful enough to penetrate through clothing, so there are always some compromises that have to be made when doing things like this. But I want to show you how this works. I can't really show you, exactly on body how this works, because it will mess up the whole bench. We would have blood everywhere. And for people who are watching tomorrow's show or the day after, they would ask themselves what happened. Probably a good thing, because they would watch my other videos, but maybe not the best thing for my bench in general, because I still need to work here. Now, what do we need? We need this. This is a firing unit. Those things we build ourselves as well. So you have 4 channels. You could put on 4 of these things. By the way, we could also fire them wirelessly, of course, but often this is just simpler and quicker. Let me just hook this up quickly. We need some power here. We hook this up to here, like this, and I will put my monitor back like that. Yes, so we have our firing unit that is more or less ready. I already put in a cartridge here beforehand. Now let's fill this up. So I would screw this on here like this, and then we give it a little squish of compressed CO2. We undo this, and then we are basically ready to fire this thing. Now, let's shoot this dry for once. So I would simply hook this up here like this, plus and minus. And of course, we could fire this remotely with a remote receiver, but sometimes it is just easier and quicker to do this via cable. I would put this on, and we have our 12 volts going. I have a test button here, so you see that this channel is loaded. And now I arm the system, and when I push this button, this releases the gas all of a sudden. And it is quite loud. And let me show you this in 3, 2, 1. Yes. Quite a nice thing. Let's do this again, and this time I will connect the hose to it, and maybe we can put in a little bit of blood. And I had a bag somewhere prepared, so we can do this and can do this inside of a bag, because as I said, I don't want to destroy my whole bench and soak it in blood. Even it's fake blood, I don't want this for now. Let me see. Here we have a little bag. That is good. And then let me grab this. We attach this here like that. And then we would use a little bit of film blood. Now let's see if we can do this again. So the system is still armed. We have continuity. Okay, let's try this in 3, 2, 1. Yes, there you see how this works. And no pyrotechnics involved, and harm-free, and also applicable. For example, when you have a pregnant woman. I had that one day, and of course I don't want to attach any kind of explosives to a pregnant woman, so yes, we decided using Airsquibs, and it came out pretty well. So yes, that's basically it. You see, it's a very well, it's not a very simple system, but it is a very reliable system, and very safe to use, and something you could build your own. It is basically just well, you can simplify this even by using just simply a little solenoid valve, a little canister to take the pressure, and you don't need this special valve here, but this gives it a little bit more swoosh to the whole thing, what is needed sometimes in the professional aspect. All right, yeah, a little bit shorter today, but still quite interesting, and a very nice Christmassy theme. Yes, let's have a look. What do we have tomorrow? And I have to be very careful with that one, because Santa put on a sticker here that says fragile. So it is very super light, and quite big again. Multiple things in there. Very light, as I said. I have to put this away carefully again, because Santa warned me that it is fragile. And yes, I think that was it. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your Sunday evening. And I see you tomorrow, on Monday, of course. A couple of days left until Christmas Eve. And yes, I hope you enjoyed. And I see you tomorrow. Until then, see ya. Blood.